So let's go, I guess, maybe through into, or for example, to get a sense of your process. So
Hmm.
how would you mentor somebody like me? So I have, say, a product idea. It's again
Hmm.
in the UX space, and it's kind of focused around helping designers, product teams decide what kind of design thinking workshop to run, depending on which part of the you product lifecycle they're in. And very
Yeah.
simple tool. I have some money saved to do this. I do have a full-time job,
Hmm.
but I have an understanding
Hmm.
wife who's going to let me, work early mornings and late
Hmm.
nights and some weekends.
Hmm.
Um, what would your process be for, I guess, starting this and hopefully scaling it?
It's a great question. And the first thing is that's great is that you're asking this before you've kind of gotten too far, because oftentimes I do a lot of mentoring for entrepreneurs, and oftentimes they come to me after the thing's already built, and they're like, "Well, no one's using it. How can you help me?" And I'm like, "Well,
Yeah.
I'm not a magician. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I have a process, but it's not magic." So the process I would do is exactly as I said before. Create a list of who you think your persona is,
Hmm.
who your buyer is. Reach out to them on LinkedIn. Hi, introduce, this is the problem I'm trying to solve. I'm building software to solve this problem. Um, I have a lot of experience in this space. I'd love to talk to you about how you guys do it and if this is a problem for you. You will be pleasantly surprised and happy with if people think that's a problem, they will absolutely respond and say, sure, I'd love to chat about it. Um, if no one responds, then either you pick the wrong persona. You keep trying experimenting with different personas. And again, if you actually get a problem that they have, they will respond and set up meetings. Take those meetings, take those user interviews. Understand how they do this now. What are the pains they have? What are the things they hate? What are the things that they love about their process? Do they use any tools? What do they like about those tools? What do they hate about those tools? Really, really, really understand the problem space and why the problem exists across across many different users. Don't be in a rush to jump right into a software product, a solution.
Okay.
For my current company, Impact Product, my new one,
Yep.
I did over 300 customer interviews, 300
Wow.
user interviews over like a 6-9 month period. And it's all the same process. But what I was looking for is I've spoken to, Impact Products and analytics tool built for design teams. What I found is that design teams basically almost never use the company's analytical tools to understand what's going on within a company. And it doesn't matter whether that company has Mixpanel or Heap or Amplitude or Looker or Tableau or Google Analytics or Pendo or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
Design teams will never log in and use that. So they don't understand. Most of them can't answer, the thing that you worked 6 weeks on designing and testing and all that stuff. Are people using it? Are they getting stuck somewhere in the flow? Like, are they falling off? Like, what's going on, right? What percentage are you using it? The people who use it, are they reusing it more than once? Is it like one time and then they leave it alone and they abandon it?
Mm-hmm.
Those basic questions, which every analytical tool out there can answer, never get used by design teams to answer those questions, because why is that? And so I reached out to a whole bunch of design teams and said, this is the problem I'm trying to solve. And I've had phenomenal response rates from people. Now, part of it is also, hey, I love Validately. If you're making something new, I'd love to talk to you because I know you make a good product. But also part of it is, yes, this is a problem. Like understanding the impact of design, getting basic access to analytics is a very important part of understanding outcomes for design teams. And so when I did my interviews and I spoke to companies that have Mixpanel and Amplitude and Heap and Looker and Tableau and Google Analytics and Pendo and all those products,
Mm-hmm.
I heard the same two problems there over and over again. Requirement for developer support to instrument every little button or thing that I want to get. That's a bottleneck for design teams. They don't have access to developers in most cases. They have to go through product, they have to wait in line, etc. By the time they get the thing tagged up, then they have to wait for the data to run, they might be moved on. It's too late. And the second is just the complexity of the user experience for those analytical tools creates a lot of friction for design teams. And so because those tools are not designed for design teams, they're designed for data scientists, quant, analytically trained people who are trained in analytics. And very few designers are trained on analytics and quant. And most of their training is in qual, and that's kind of their empathy driven, and understanding the user and all that type of stuff. And so qual research is awesome. Believe me, I love qual research, and I sold Validately to UserZoom, which is a great product. And if you want qual research, that's the right product for you. For quant, for analytics, for measuring what's going on in the product, there just has never been a tool designed for understanding the designer and what they need. And so that's what we're doing. And I uncovered that from consistent messages, hearing back from my user interviews. And then we did some prototype testing. We go back to them and say, here's an idea of what we had. Then we could put like an MVP, very, I know that's a word that is hotly contested. I don't mean to scratch that itch, but we put a very kind of low friction, very basic product out there, and had some customers test it out and try it, and the feedback's been good. And then we worked on a new version, which we just released last week, a 2.0 version, which better design, more features, all that stuff. And now we're continuing to kind of go out and talk to teams and get them to try it out and learn feedback, what's missing, what's confusing, what's confusing about the user experience, and going from there.
Fantastic. And so obviously you had this idea, you went out, you talked to 300 people, which is a lot. That's impressive.
Yeah.
And now it comes time to build. How do you go about, I guess, bringing in the right technology talent or the right type of people, tech stack, in order to kind of, surround yourself and set yourself up for success?
Yeah. So it's a great question. So again, I have an opinion. I'm not saying my way is the only way, right? I'm not saying there aren't other successful approaches. I have an opinion, and my opinion is big teams build big products, not necessarily better products. And so when you have a small team, you're forced to prioritize. And my view is that specifically with B2B products, okay, but it probably extends to consumer products as well. My view is that there's one dominant, powerful use case for every successful product. And then there's a whole bunch of stuff built around it. But that one early product market fit comes down to like kind of one just powerful, awesome use case. And from that, you raise capital, you build this whole big team, you build this whole stuff. And look at, I would say, look at Twitter. Twitter's MVP was like a basic, like, it was a text message on the internet, basically. That's what it was, 140 characters, very basic thing. Twitter has probably spent tens of billions of dollars over maybe more, maybe hundreds of it over the their course of their life. And at the end of the day, it all comes back to the tweet. It's that one thing. And if you understand what that is, you don't need a huge, massive engineering team. I don't believe in like story points and velocity and all that stuff. Okay. It's not about building more stuff. It's not a race to see who can code more, right? It's understanding the stuff that we're building. Are people using it? And if they're not, why are they not? Because it's based on user research. We talk to them. They said they need this. We build it for them. And they're not using it. Why not? I don't want to just say, well, we checked it off the roadmap, so let's build the next thing on the roadmap, right? It's just trying to stay on that thing and try to understand, how do we get people doing it?